Today, we're going to be talking about interior design portfolios. I've already made a video about how to create an interior design portfolio, but today I'm going to be showing you my interior design portfolios. And these ones that I will show you today, I created while I was in interior design school. One thing that you should be doing if you are in interior design school is start building up your portfolio. When you graduate from interior design school, you won't have time to build a portfolio from scratch. It takes a lot of time, and what you will want to do when you graduate is start looking for jobs right away. While I was in interior design school, I created a total of 3 interior design portfolios. Of course, the first one is the ugliest. The very first portfolio that I created,
I didn't know what I was doing. It's just horrible. I hate it.
the second portfolio is not as bad, but I think it's still pretty bad. And eventually I created a last version of my portfolio. Again, all these portfolios I created while I was in school. So there are additional projects that I have worked on that won't be here. And one thing that I want to point out, if you are working on a project, you should always document that work so that you can add it to your portfolio. Okay, so this is the first portfolio that I ever made in my entire life. I made this portfolio on my very first year at school. Oh my god, this is really bad. This is my cover page. I don't know what I was doing. This, to me, if I look at this today, it looks like an invitation to a party. I don't know, I just hate it. I used this black rectangle and I tilted it. At the time, I remember that I was obsessed with gold. It doesn't look good. So here on the right side, I included my resume. This is very poorly done. If you have looked at my video on how to create an interior design resume, you will see that this is nothing close to what you should be doing. I didn't know anything basically, and I just put this here. It's just like very unprofessional. This was a residential project that I worked on. At the time, I didn't know how to do realistic renderings. I cannot even read what it says because it's like so light and the paper is white. I don't know, what was I doing, seriously? One thing that we do sometimes is we want to include so much information in one single page. That can work, that is one approach, but I will show you what ultimately I ended up doing in my last portfolio that I created, and it looks way more professional than this. When I was in school, I always knew that we had to include other type of work that is related to the design field. In my video about how to create an interior design portfolio, I recommend you guys to include other type of design work. If you are into photography, into painting, it's really good to show your skills and your abilities in the creative industry as a whole. Do not think that because it's an interior design portfolio, all of your work should be interior design related. So that's what I did here. I've always liked photography. I took these shots of street photography. I am not necessarily hating the photos, but the composition of the page, I'm really not liking. Like, I don't know why I'm still using this gold color for my font. Then I have this other project that I worked on. I have elevations, sections, perspectives. My big problem with this page specifically is that the images are too tiny. So you can barely see all the design details. And that's one thing that I fixed later on. I decided to add some graphic design projects that I had worked on. Again, the composition of the page, I absolutely hate it. I feel like it's all over the place. It's not organized. I have like 4 different projects in one page. So I also added some painting projects. The paintings, I really love them. The way that I am showing this here and how I arranged them on the page, I can't. That is it. The second portfolio that I created was a little bit better. This was probably a year after the first one, where I had more projects to add. I was still in school, but I started working part-time. I changed a lot of things. Some projects I didn't add in this portfolio. I had some other projects. It's just very different. And the cover page, I have my name, and then I have like this phrase, my passion, my work, my art. Listen, I am not hating this, but if I were to do a portfolio today, the cover page should say interior design portfolio and your name. Like this is just, it's just not telling me that this is an interior design portfolio. This is like, I don't know, it just looks weird. And then this picture on the right, why did I cut it off? When did I think that that would look cool? I had some email and phone information that I have to erase. And then I go on to showcase the table of contents or all the projects that I will talk about. And then I actually show the projects with a short paragraph that explains the project. What I did with this portfolio that was so wrong was that I didn't show the process of how I got to these final projects. I only show the renderings and the perspective drawings of the projects. When you are applying to jobs, the companies or firms that you apply for, they want to see the actual process of how you got to this outcome. So they want to see construction drawings, they want to see if you know how to hand sketch, they want to see if you can create mood boards, they want to see if you can create concept boards, all the phases of the interior design process. They want to see if you know how to do each of those things. So showing just the final outcome and not showing the actual process is not good if you are wanting to apply for a job. Now, if you have a portfolio that you're going to show to a client, like someone who you are going to design a space for, they don't really care about all the process and all the technical documentation. They just want to see the beautiful pictures of the final project. But when you're applying for a job, it's very different. And the recruiter or the designer who's going to be looking at your portfolio, they actually want to see your skills as an interior designer. So here you will see I do not add any of that. Actually, I did include the technical documentation, but my problem here is that I just threw like construction drawings on the paper. They are all of one single project, but I just feel like they do not follow like a chronological order. That doesn't really look very nice. Like there's no flow and there's no explanation of the project. There's no 3D renderings, there's no sketches, there's nothing, you know, there's not like a flow that tells the story of the project. It's just like boom. Anyway, and at the end, I remember I added these presentation plans because these ones are actually done on Revit. I wanted to show my proficiency with Revit software. There's no story about the project. I'm not explaining anything. I'm just, again, throwing those presentation plans into the sheet and it just looks very odd. Another thing that I did wrong with these first two portfolios is that I didn't show the reader that the portfolio was coming to an end. I will show that in the last portfolio, so you will know what I'm talking about. So this is my cover page. So this is what I was talking about. When you are creating a portfolio, your cover page should say portfolio. Your portfolio should explain what it is. If you're creating an interior design portfolio, if you're creating an architecture portfolio, if you're creating a graphic design portfolio, you should state that on the cover page of your portfolio. And you should also include your name. And this is just an image of a project that I worked on. This is actually a potentially new build project, like real life. This is not academic project, but this is something that I did. And showing a little bit of your work on the cover page, it's very intriguing because it makes you want to see more. So the cover page design is really up to you, and there are many ways that you can do this, many colors that you can use. I just decided to keep it black and white. I didn't want to overwhelm my portfolio with so many colors because already my perspective drawings and my actual projects are gonna have different colors. So I just decided to keep my style very neutral. On my second page, I actually have a table of contents, something that you didn't see in my other portfolios. I mean, one of them I did, but this actually says like table of contents. It says the name of the projects and they are numbered and they have a little illustration on them. So I think that's a cool detail. And if you watched my video on how to create an interior design portfolio, you will know that 1/3 of your page at least should be blank space because you want your eyes to rest. So every single sheet should not be crowded with tons of information. So then I move on to my first project. So here I have a little bit of an introduction of that project. I keep the same title that I used in the table of contents, the same illustration. If you have worked on a team project and you want to add that in your portfolio, you should give credit to the other people that have participated in that project. I don't have any team projects in my portfolio. If I had any, I would include here in the design field that's done by me and by other people. I would include their names. And I also include the software or softwares that I used for that specific project. On the very top, I have the title of the project and what is that sheet showing. So this is the introduction of the project, so I will have introduction. And I also number every single page. It just shows more professionalism and more order in your portfolio. I've got presentation plans for this residence project. So you can see the difference from my first portfolio where I added my perspective drawings and elevations and furniture board all in one page. And I changed that for this one. I decided to use one page for whatever I want to show. It looks more professional and it looks more like a magazine, you know, like when you open those magazines and you have like an illustration and then it occupies like the whole page. For this portfolio, if I am showing like a perspective drawing, I am using the whole sheet for that drawing because that way you can actually see all the details of the perspective or of the floor plan or whatever you're showing, you know. Then I go into the second sheet and here I added more information of that single project, but still it has like an order and I think that it's really good organized in my opinion. I have some sketches. So once again, in this portfolio, I decided to actually show the process of how I went from A to B to C to D in that specific project. I'm not only showing the final result, which would be the perspective drawings or the renders, but I'm also showing sketches. I have an exterior section of my house and a exploded axonometric of the house. So this is actually showing many skills. On this sheet, I have more hand drawing sketches and these ones are perspective drawings. I also have another perspective drawing. This is my second project. So as you can see, there is a consistency in the style. For every project, I have like this same layout. So it's very important that you are consistent with the actual design of the portfolio. So here again, I have another presentation plan. Then I have a perspective drawing. Here I actually added two things into one sheet, which is the mood board and the reflected ceiling plan. So you can also add different parts of your project into one single sheet, but make sure that it's organized, you know, and that you still leave some white space within the paper, that it looks clean and not very crowded. And we jump into the third project. So you see same layout for the introduction, and then I have a perspective drawing. This is actually the only thing from this project. So sometimes you won't have a lot of information from one single project. If you're very proud of one single project, but you only have a render to show, then still add that into your portfolio. So this is another project, and here I have an exterior section and a floor plan on top of it. I think this was a very unique concept of showing a floor plan and a section, and it's just a different way of showing the project. And here some more interior perspectives of that project. So then I have this project that I worked on. This is actually a real life project. This was an office design that I did. I actually show pictures of the before, or like the actual space, how it looks like, and I show the existing plan. And then I also show the demolition and the construction plan. This shows the process, and this actually shows how you came up with solutions for a given space. It's very important that you show your design thinking within your interior design portfolio, and how did you solve the design problems that were within the space. Then I show some perspective drawings. This project is not interior design, but again, showing your design abilities is always good. So I show this painting that I created back in 2015, and I also show these other two paintings. These ones I had already added to the first portfolio that I created, if you remember, but the way that I arranged them in the paper in this last portfolio is way better than the other one. And the last project that I show here is actually a real life project as well. I took a professional photo shoot for an accounting firm. At the end, I have a sheet that says that this is the end and thank you for looking at my portfolio. So that was it, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. You know, creating a portfolio, it's a process, and most of the times you will hate the first portfolio that you create, but it's a process and you are going to be improving. And a lot of the times no one really tells us how to do this. So it's a self-learning experience, but for sure, always try to polish your portfolio and make it better. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.